everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I hope to read in March. So for those of you who may not already know, there's a readathon going on throughout the month of March called Middle Grade March, and it is hosted by Krista from Books and Jams, Katie from Life Between Words, and Amanda from The Curly Reader. I'm going to leave all of their channels linked down below so you can check out more information on that, as well as what they plan on reading or their recommendations for great middle grade books. I will also go ahead and leave a card to my middle grade March recommendations in case you want to check that out as well. So with that being said, I am going to be participating in Middle Grade March and reading mostly middle grade books this month, but I do have 3 books that I would like to talk about first, very briefly, that I'm going to hopefully break up the middle grade with if I feel like I need to do so, so I'm going to talk about those first. First up is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This is a young adult novel that is set around Greek mythology, and it's something about the gods did something bad, and now this is going to be a really vague and crappy synopsis, so I apologize, but gods did something bad, now they're having to pay for it. They have to come to Earth and walk as humans and be slayed by all the people that they wronged or something to that effect. It sounds really interesting, and the cover is really beautiful, and I'm excited to get to this one soon. Then I also have The Queen's Gambit, and I have already forgotten the author's name, but I do have a picture of it on the screen so you can see who the author is. And really the reason why I wanted to read this one is because I watched the Netflix adaptation and I absolutely loved it. I could watch it again and again, even though it is a very heavy and deep series. It's kind of a limited series, but it was phenomenal. I loved it, and I watched the behind the scenes of it afterwards. It was great, so I really wanted to read the book that was the initial inspiration for the show. And the third book before we get into my middle grade list is The Night Sister by Jennfier McMahon. I read The Winter People by her in January and absolutely loved it. It's probably my favorite book of the year so far, and I really want to read more from Jennfier McMahon, and I'm not sure if this is the exact one I'm going to read, but it's the one that I'm leaning towards, and I'm really excited to get more into her novels. Her writing is just incredible, and she writes kind of like thriller suspense with some paranormal, and I don't always go for the paranormal unless it's in middle grade, but she just does it so well, so I'm really excited to read more from her. Okay, so now we're going to get into my middle grade TBR, which is pretty extensive. I think I have about 20-ish books, and some of them I don't have on hand yet, so some of them I can show you, and some of them I'll pop a picture up on the screen. But I am going to go through the prompts because I want to kind of organize myself into this in preparation for middle grade March, but this is also to help you out if you want to participate and go through the prompts as well. These are some good recommendations for you too. So the first prompt is to read a book with a silhouette on the cover, and there are tons of middle grade books with a silhouette on the cover, many of which I have already read. So I could have struggled with this, but I didn't. I found a couple that will fit the prompt. The first one is The Secret of Whitestone Gate by Julia Nobel. Last month, I read the first book in the series, which was The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane, and I read this with my middle grade book club that I host at the library that I work at. And so we really enjoyed the first book, and it kind of left off making you want more. The kids went home for the summer after all of the events in the first book, and this is them coming back. So if you don't know what this series is about, it's about this girl named Amy, and she gets shipped off to a boarding school in England. But before she leaves, she finds this box of medallions left to her by her dad, and she finds out that her dad has a connection to this school and could possibly have a connection to this secret society at the school. And I just think it was a great read. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm really excited to try this one. I'm hoping this will be a 5-star read and that there is more action taking place throughout, because that's the reason why I only gave the first book 4 stars instead of 5, because I just kind of wanted more meat throughout. But I'm really excited to read this one and continue on with the story and these characters and find out what is going to happen next. The next book that would fit this prompt is The Lion of Mars by Jennifer L. Holm, and I don't know why, but I'm really excited about this one. I don't typically go for things like this with these covers or go for really like sci-fi, but I just thought this story sounded adorable and the cover was really cute, and we have a silhouette of a lion here. I didn't show you guys, but I'm sure you could tell you have a silhouette of 2 children on the front of this book. But we do have a silhouette of a lion here, and I don't know much about this book because I tried to keep myself from knowing too much. But I know it's about this boy named Belle who lives on this settlement on Mars, and he's got some questions about some weird things that are going on, like why the US colony doesn't have any contact with this colony on Mars. And then also you have typical middle grade questions like, why do teenagers act so weird, and things like that. There's also a virus that breaks out, and there's just different things that happen throughout this that made it sound really interesting to me. Like I said, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but I thought this one sounded good, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. The next prompt is to read a book that is a fairy tale retelling or has fairy tale elements, and I have 3 options here, which I plan to read all of these. All of these that I'm mentioning, I really hope to get to, and I might even get to some more because I have a book outlet order coming in with like 26 books. So, we don't have a problem here. It's fine. I have a hobby. I'm gonna keep on that. But anyways, the first book for the fairy tale elements prompt is The Girl Who Speaks Fair by Sophie Anderson, which this may be more geared towards like folklore. Well, it says grounded in ancient fairy tales. That works for me. So this is about a girl named Yonka, and Yonka grew up, I think she was raised by bears, and now she is just kind of treated weird from that, and I don't really know anything else about it. I'm trying to read the back as I'm explaining it. But I know she goes on this journey to like figure out who she really is, and about her real family and everything. So I read Sophie Anderson's book, The House with Chicken Legs, last year, I believe. It was the end of last year. And I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited to check out more from her. I think I'm really going to enjoy this one, and it fits the fairy tale prompt. So I'm really excited about this one. The next book I have had on my shelves for quite some time, and that is Book of 1,000 Days by Shannon Hale. I have never read anything by Shannon Hale before, except, well, I take that back. I have read The Princess in Black, but I didn't count that towards my reading because it was really short. It is a middle grade, but I just kind of wanted to see what it was about. I read it for school, so I guess I have read something by her, but I wanted to try one of her more well-known books, so this is Book of 1,000 Days, and this is a fairy tale retelling from one of the Brothers Grimm stories, and this is reset on the Central Asian steppes. So this is about a maid named Dashti and her mistress, Lady Saren. They're shut in a tower for 7 years because of Saren's refusal to marry a man that she despises, and the two prepare for a very long and dark imprisonment. So I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to know more than that, but I'm really hoping, more or less than anything, just to get this one off my shelves because it's been on for so long. So I'm not as excited about this one than the other ones, just because I'm more excited about the newer books. This is a book that I'd really like to get to and get it off my to-be-read shelf and move it to my read shelf, or if I don't like it, I'll end up taking it and getting store credit and getting something that I might love more. So if you have read this book, let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe that'll help. Well, okay, let me take that back. If you enjoyed this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I need to be propelled to read it, not to not read it, because I'd rather read it and then find out if I like it. So anyways, that's this book. And the next book I've also had on my shelves for quite some time, and that is The Door by the Staircase by Katherine Marsh. This has been on a couple of my TBRs, and I have just not gotten around to it. I picked this book up because it reminded me of Coraline, and I like spooky middle grades. And this book, I found out, actually is drawn from a Russian fairy tale, or has different elements of Russian fairy tales, and it's also supposed to be dark and funny, and so it just sounds really good. And it's about this orphan named Mary, and she's 12 years old. She's lived in this orphanage for forever, and she's tried to escape, but she never has. And then one day, this mysterious woman named Madame Z appears, and she requests to adopt Mary, and so Mary gets to go home with her, but then she starts to wonder if there's not something a little bit off about Madame Z, so she goes exploring. I'm assuming she's going to find this door by the staircase that holds some secrets, but it sounds really good. It's pretty short, and I am excited about this one. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, but hopefully I will get to it this month. The next prompt is to read a book with a strong family element, and I have two here, and both of them just happen to be historical fiction, which I had planned to read a lot of in February, but I kind of slacked off a little bit and got in a reading slump. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to read all these this month, and then I'm out of my reading slump. But the first book that I have is Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth by Sheila O'Connor. I saw this on Book Outlet, and I saw the cover, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and it just looks really cute. And also, if you don't already know this about me, I love books written in letters, and this book is written in completely in letters, I believe, and I'm really excited about that. So it's about this girl named Rennie. It's set in, I can't talk today. It's set in 1968, and she has a paper route, and she ends up going to Mr. Marsworth's house, but he won't come to the door, so she leaves him a letter introducing herself as his new paper girl, and they end up forming a relationship through this, and she talks to him about her brother who is about to go into the Vietnam War, I believe, and he is anti-war, I believe, and or something to that effect, and they get to talking about this, but there's more to his side of that story than he leads on at the beginning, and you get to find that out throughout the book. So this sounds like a really cute story. I'm not sure what exactly the family elements are, as far as it may just be like between her and her brother. It could be found family with her and Mr. Marsworth, but it does say an endearing tale about the strength of family. So strong family element, I got it. And the beauty of friendship, which sometimes blossoms where you least expect it. So I'm also really excited to pick this one up. And then I have another historical fiction, and it's one that I meant to read last month, and I'm really upset with myself that I didn't read it because I'm still so excited about it. But it is A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus. This is a book about 3 orphans who are in the English countryside during World War II in London. And they're trying to find a new family, so they're going from foster home to foster home, but they find solace in this library and with this librarian. I believe her name is Nora. Yes, Nora. I've been reading lots of books with Noras lately. And so they find solace with her and really want to be a part of her family, but Nora's husband is missing, and people seem to think that that might not be a good reason for her to adopt kids right now, which is understandable, but of course, you know, we want them to be with who they feel most comfortable with, and Nora is also a librarian, so that really piques my interest as well, and I'm really excited to read this one, and it should be one of the first books that I read. We'll see. I'm excited about so many of these. I don't know which one I'll get to first, but this is one that I'm still really excited about. The next prompt is to read a book that features a journey or an adventure, which I have a ton of books that could go under this prompt, but I picked a few to start out. So the first one is The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Mettlestone by Jaclyn Moriarty. I've seen this book almost everywhere on BookTube, especially from Alexandra Roseland's channel, and it just looks super cute. It sounds super cute. It's about this 10-year-old girl named Bronte Mettlestone, and she gets news that her parents have been killed by pirates, and so now she has to travel to all these different aunts, and they're like really wild characters. Like, she has a farmer aunt, and she has a veterinarian aunt, she has pirate aunts, a rock star aunt, so like she has all different kind of aunts. And so yeah, she is traveling to all these different places, and I think she's delivering letters or receiving letters. Maybe there's no letters in this, maybe I'm getting it confused. Either way, this definitely has something to do with travel, adventure, journey, and I believe I'm also planning to buddy read this with Olivia from Liv's Library, so I'm really looking forward to that. Buddy reads are always really fun, and it's a good way to help you be more motivated to read, but I don't think I'll need much motivation here because this just sounds like a really good one. Next up, I have Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So I did start this book 1 month last year, and I can't remember how far I got in it, but for whatever reason, I got busy and I put it down, and I'm the type of person where if I put down a book for a really long time, I'm not going to enjoy it as much if I pick it up later and finish it. So I'm going to restart this. I was really enjoying it, and I think I'll fly through it. So I really want to try this. I'm not going to say what it's about because I think most people already know. It's about this, well, okay, I guess I'll say a little bit, but it's about this girl named Morgan Crow who is destined to die on her 11th birthday, but then she gets whisked away to Nevermoor, or yeah, she gets whisked away to Nevermoor by this guy named Jupiter North, and she goes to the Wonder Society and is going to perform in these different trials and all this different stuff. So it sounds super great and awesome and magical and wonderful, and I'm really excited to finally get to this one and finish it. Next up, I have a manga called Witch Hat Atelier. This is volume 1. It's by, I'm probably going to butcher this name, so I apologize, Kamome Shirahama, or yeah, I think Kamome Shirahama sounds right. If it's not, I apologize. I should have definitely looked this up beforehand, but I forgot. So this is a manga about a girl named Coco, and Coco wants to learn magic, and she is taught that magic is something you are born with, not that you are taught. And so she ends up finding this magician, and I think she finds out that she may be able to actually learn magic. So yeah, this is her journey. I don't know much more about it than that, but my friend Olivia said she really enjoyed this series, and it sounds really cute, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. Next up, I have Cathedral of Bones by A.J. Steger. I should have looked these up before I got on here. Anyways, this is a newer release, and I'm really excited to have my hands on it. I cannot remember everything about what it's about. I was really sold on the cover of this one, but it says, "The world of Idendale is a curious place. Here, magic is used by the very best animists to do wondrous things. These animists can call upon imps, wraiths, and all manner of monsters to right wrongs, deliver justice, and accomplish feats no human could achieve. Simon Frost is not one of those animists. In his first 2 years of training at the Foundation, all he's managed to do is faint during a mission, stoke the ire of bullies, and take an apprenticeship in the Foundation's mailroom, sorting requests for magic from far and wide. Then a plea arrives from a distant hamlet, preyed upon by an abominable monster, and Simon sees the opportunity to finally prove his worth. But when he arrives in the tiny village, Simon finds not just a monster, but a key to his past and a pathway into an unbelievable future. So this just sounds like a really adventurous story. It says, how far would you go to save the people you love? It sounds like a great magical, fantastical mystery, maybe even a little bit of story. So I'm excited to pick this one up next month as well. So the last prompt is to read a book from the decade that you were born in. So I'm a 90s baby, and I had a really hard time with this prompt because I feel like all of the books that I would have wanted to read in the 90s, I've already read. So I did find one that I have not read yet, and that is Holes by Louis Sakar. I know. I feel like most people have read this. I have seen the movie multiple times, and I love it, so I feel like I'm going to enjoy the book as well. If you don't know what this is about, basically, it's about this boy named Stanley Yelnats, and he gets wrongly accused of, if it's the same in the book as the movie, it's of stealing a pair of tennis shoes. So he gets sent off to Camp Green Lake, and it's not really a lake. It's been dry forever, and so they're basically in the desert, and there's no water for miles except for at this camp, and all the boys at this camp have to dig holes, and they think they're digging because of, like manual labor and tough love was supposed to make you a better person, I guess. But there's more to this story than just that, than what's on the surface. And yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. So I think it's about time that I picked up the book. Okay, so that's all of the middle grade that I have that fit the prompts, but I do have a couple more that I hope to read this month, and I will try to get through these quickly. The first one is Amal Unbound by Aisha Saeed, and this is the Three Blondes in a Book club pick for the month of March, and that book club is run by Liv from Liv's Library, Kaylin from Kaylin Abridged, and Zoe from Zoe Delaney. And this book is about a girl named Amal, and she dreams of becoming a teacher, but then some things happen. She lives in Pakistan, and she ends up getting into indentured servitude. I think that's the right way to say it. Anyways, so some things happen, and she has this increasing awareness of the deadly measures that this family that she's serving will resort to in order to protect their interest, different things like that. So that's all I really know about it. It's pretty short. I already read the first chapter of this one, and it definitely piqued my interest, so I'm excited to continue on with it and read it for our book club in March. Next up, I have Green Glass House by Kate Milford, and I think I still have my bookmark in here. Yeah, so I was reading this in January, I think, so I got about this far. And once again, this is one of those books I picked up and I sat down and I need to restart. I know I'm gonna love this, and I hate that like two books that are very well loved in this community I picked up and put down and never picked back up. So we're gonna try this one again. This is Green Glass House by Kate Milford, and it is about a 12-year-old boy named Milo. He is the adopted child of these innkeepers of Green Glass House, and he teams up with Maddie, the cook's daughter, to try to solve this mystery of why all of these different people are coming into the hotel during Christmas time when nobody usually comes in. And so yeah, it sounds like a really good story. I was really enjoying it when I had started reading it. So like I said, I don't really know why I put it down, but I'm going to pick it back up and try to finish it again this month. Next, I have From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Konigsberg. And the reason that I decided to read this book is because it was mentioned in Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, both the book and the film adaptation on Netflix. So it says, Claudia knew that she could never pull off the old-fashioned kind of running away. So she decided to run, not from somewhere, but to somewhere. Somewhere large, warm, comfortable, and beautiful. And that was how Claudia and her brother Jamie ended up living in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and right in the middle of a mystery that made headlines. So they're going to meet Miss Basil E. Frankweiler, I assume, in this, and she is either part of the mystery or maybe going to help them solve the mystery. I don't know, but this is a short one. It has a Newbery medal on the cover, so I'm really excited to get to this one too. I don't read a lot of, I guess this is a modern classic, so I'm excited to try this one out. Next up, I have a newer release. It is called The Magical Reality of Nadia by Bassem Youssef and Catherine R. Daly. I'm so excited about this one. So it says, Nadia loves fun facts. Here are a few about her. She collects bobbleheads. She has 77 so far. She moved from Egypt to America when she was 6 years old. The hippo amulet she wears is ancient, as in it's literally from ancient Egypt. She's going to win the contest to design a new exhibit at the local museum, because how cool would that be? Okay, so that last one isn't a fact just yet, but Nadia has plans to make it one. Then a new kid shows up and teases Nadia about her Egyptian heritage. It's totally unexpected and totally throws her off her game. And something else happens that Nadia can't explain. Her amulet starts glowing. She soon discovers that the hippo is holding a helpful and hilarious secret. Can she use it to confront the new kid and win the contest? So I like that this has an Egyptian aspect to it. I'm not sure if it's going to have any Egyptian mythology or anything like that, but I like that she has like a relic or an artifact from ancient Egypt and that it's going to have some power. So this just sounds like a really good one, and I'm excited to get to this one. And then next up, I have Shadow School Archimancy by J.A. White. J.A. White wrote Night Books, and I really loved that one, so I definitely had to pick up this one. And I need to show you guys under the cover because, first of all, this cover is gorgeous, but then you also have art underneath. So I think this is absolutely beautiful. And I don't remember much about this one except it's about this girl who goes to this shadow school. And let's see. I'm going to try not to read all these synopses. But she ends up going to this school and she knows that it's going to be different, but she doesn't realize how different. And she starts seeing these ghosts and she realizes that she's not the only one who can see these ghosts. And I guess there might be a little bit of a mystery around this. But I love creepy middle grades, and I really loved, like I said, his other book, Night Book. So I'm really excited to try this one out. And I believe it's the first book in a series. So I guess this will determine whether or not I continue, but I'm excited to get through this one also. And then I have one more book, and I have saved the best for last. Oh wait, I actually have more than that. Okay, so I'm going to save that one for last. But I also have a short book series, which is the Spiderwick Chronicles. And this book is, I don't know, these books have been out for a while, maybe the early 2000s. I've never read them, but I've seen them everywhere. I saw them everywhere when I was a kid. I'll go through them. So we have The Field Guide is book 1. The Seeing Stone is book 2. Lucinda's Secret, The Ironwood Tree, and The Wrath of Mulgarath. So I watched the movie a couple years ago, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times since then. I thought it was fantastic, and I really want to read the books. They're really short. I also have Arthur Spiderwick's Guide to the Magical, Fantastical World Around You, something like that, that I might read also. But this has pictures throughout it. It's probably going to be a really quick read. All of these will be, but I've really been wanting to get to them. I don't know how to much explain this, except there's 3 siblings that move into this new house, and they find out that there are magical creatures that live in the forest surrounding their house, and they find Arthur Spiderwick's Guide to the Fantastical World Around them, and these creatures want that book, and I can't remember why because it's been a minute, even though I've watched the movie 2 or 3 times. But yeah, it was really good, and so I'm really excited to read those. And now I have saved the best book for last, and I'm reading the synopsis because I was reading it to my husband the other day and I could not get through it for giggling. I'm not going to giggle now because I think I've got my giggle fits out. But this is called The Beast and the Bethany by Jack Meggitt Phillips and illustrated by Isabel Follett. So this is also, I don't know if it's new, but it's a new book to our library because I found it and put it on our list to order because it sounded super interesting. I do that a lot. It has lots of illustrations throughout, but here we go. Ebenezer Tweezer has spent nearly all of his 511 years living alone in a beautiful mansion filled with beautiful things. Well, not entirely by himself. There's that small thing of the beast in his attic, which he feeds all manners of meals, such as performing monkeys, his pet cat, and the occasional cactus. And in return, the beast vomits out presents for Ebenezer, including potions that keep him young and beautiful. If you guys aren't sold already, I just don't know. But the beast grows ever greedier, and soon only a nice, juicy child will do. Enter the perfect beastly meal. Bethany is a frankly dreadful child living at the Institute for Gentlemanly Boys and Ladylike Ladies, where she torments the other children and the frazzled Miss Fizzlewick. These names, you guys, are just perfect. If any child is to be gobbled up by the beast, a Bethany is surely the right choice. Yet as Ebenezer gets to know Bethany, doubt starts creeping in. Could it be that Bethany is less meal-worthy and more friend-worthy? So, this is also the first book in a series, which I did not know, but it just sounds hysterical. Like when I opened this book and read the synopsis, because I'd forgotten what it was about when I got it, and it said Ebenezer Tweezer, I'm like, if I read a children's book, like I better have awesome names like Ebenezer Tweezer if I ever write a book. Like it's perfect. So this is the last book on my list, and I think I've got way too many books on my list for the month of March, but we're going to see if I can get through all of these. I asked my husband yesterday, I was like, do you think I can read all of these books? And he was like, yeah, I think you can read them all. I was like, do you really? And he was like, yeah, if you set the time aside and discipline yourself, you'll definitely be able to read them. So I was like, okay. I don't want to like force myself to read, but I have been in a reading slump, and I'm hoping that that means in March I'll want to read a lot, and middle grade books are really easy to read and they're usually pretty quick, so I'm hoping to get through most of these, if not all of them. Also, I did forget a book, so I'm going to mention that really quickly, but our middle grade book club at the library is going to be reading Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library by, I don't remember that author's name either. It's on the screen. I'm sorry, I did not prepare well enough for this video, but we're going to be reading that book, and I don't remember a lot about it except that the kids are trying to escape from Mr. Limoncello's library. Also, fun fact, up until we had our meeting where we discussed that this was the book that we were going to talk about, I thought it was Limoncello. I guess that's just me trying to be fancy or whatever, but I literally thought it was Escape from Mr. Limoncello's library. But no, it's Limoncello. For those of you who were wondering, it is Limoncello, not Limoncello. It's not fancy. So I'm really excited to read this book with my kiddos. I think we're all going to have a great time with it. And I'm also planning a scavenger hunt for them whenever we come together to talk about that book. So I did forget that one because I don't have it yet, but now we're finished. So I hope that you, one, were inspired to participate in middle grade March if you were not already planning to do so. And if you were planning to do so, maybe you got some more recommendations. I can't actually recommend these because I've read them, but I can recommend them because I'm reading them and they sound really interesting. So hopefully something piqued your interest here and you can add some more books to your list or to your long-term TBR. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, click the like button below and hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications anytime I post a new video. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!